The world we live on feels familiar. We see its maps, its continents, its oceans every day. But what if the way you understand this planet is actually incomplete? In this video, we're going to explore 50 incredible geography facts about Earth. Facts so surprising that by the end of this video, the way you see our world might completely change. From deserts that aren't made of sand, to mountains that are closer to space than Everest, to places on Earth more remote than you can possibly imagine. But before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because here we explore the most fascinating facts about our planet and the universe. Now, let's begin. Fact 50: the world's largest desert is not the Sahara. Most people, when asked to name the largest desert on Earth, will say the Sahara. They are wrong. A desert is defined not by heat or sand, but by the absence of precipitation, receiving less than 250 millimeters of rain or snow per year. By that scientific definition, Antarctica is the largest desert on Earth, covering approximately 14.2 million square kilometers. The Sahara, by comparison, covers 9.4 million square kilometers, making it the largest hot desert, but only the second largest desert overall. Antarctica's interior receives so little precipitation that it qualifies as a polar desert, and it is nearly twice the size of its more famous rival. Fact 49: Canada holds more than half the world's lakes. Canada is home to approximately 62% of the world's lakes with a surface area greater than 0.1 square kilometers. Of the roughly 1.42 million such lakes identified globally, more than 879,000 are found within Canadian borders. That is more than all other countries combined. This extraordinary density of freshwater is a direct consequence of glacial retreat after the last ice age, which sculpted basins across the Canadian Shield, leaving behind an inland water landscape unmatched on any other landmass. Fact 48: Russia is larger than the surface of Pluto. Russia is the largest country on Earth, covering approximately 17.1 million square kilometers. Pluto, despite being classified as a dwarf planet with a diameter of around 2,377 kilometers, has a total surface area of roughly 16.7 million square kilometers, measurably smaller than Russia. This places a single nation on the same scale of surface coverage as a recognized astronomical body. It is a fact that quietly reframes the sense of scale between human geography and the planetary objects we study in the night sky. Fact 47: the Pacific Ocean is larger than all the world's land combined. The Pacific Ocean covers approximately 165 million square kilometers. Every continent, every island, every landmass on Earth together amounts to roughly 149 million square kilometers. That means the Pacific alone, just one of Earth's 5 oceans, is larger than all land on the planet combined. It is more than 5 times wider than the Moon. The ocean covers roughly 1/3 of Earth's entire surface, and if you stood at its center, every direction you faced would present nothing but water for thousands of kilometers. Fact 46: Mount Chimborazo, not Everest, is the closest point on Earth to outer space. Mount Everest stands at 8,849 meters above sea level, the highest point measured from the ocean's surface. But Earth is not a perfect sphere. Due to the planet's equatorial bulge, points near the equator are physically farther from Earth's center than points at higher latitudes. Mount Chimborazo, an inactive volcano in Ecuador standing 6,263 meters above sea level, sits so close to the equator that its summit is approximately 6,384 kilometers from Earth's center, roughly 2,100 meters farther from the center of the Earth than Everest's peak. By that measure, Chimborazo, not Everest, is the closest point on our planet to outer space. Fact 45: Australia is wider than the Moon. The Moon has an equatorial diameter of approximately 3,474 kilometers. Australia, measured from its westernmost to easternmost point, spans almost 4,000 kilometers. That makes an entire continent on Earth wider than a celestial body that orbits it. To put this in visual terms, if the Moon were laid flat against a map of Australia, it would not reach from coast to coast. Despite this, the Moon's total surface area, 37.9 million square kilometers, is vastly larger than Australia's 7.7 million square kilometers, because surface area counts for an entire sphere, not just a single diameter. Fact 44: Africa is the only continent in all 4 hemispheres. The prime meridian and the equator both pass through Africa, the only continent on Earth where this is true. This means Africa occupies portions of the Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere, Eastern Hemisphere, and Western Hemisphere simultaneously. No other continent achieves this geographic distinction. Africa also straddles the full range of tropical climates, giving it a biodiversity and climatic variety that no other continent can match. Its geographic centrality on the globe is a direct consequence of its position at the convergence of the planet's two primary reference lines. Fact 43: Norway has a longer coastline than Russia. Russia spans 11 time zones and covers 1/8 of the world's land surface. Norway is a fraction of its size, and yet Norway's coastline is longer. Russia's coastline measures approximately 37,000 kilometers. Norway's coastline, deeply fractured by thousands of fjords, narrow inlets carved by ancient glaciers, measures over 100,000 kilometers when including its islands and indentations. This is a direct illustration of the so-called coastline paradox. The more precisely and closely you measure a jagged coastline, the longer it becomes. Norway's geography exploits this mathematical truth to a remarkable degree. Fact 42: Two countries are completely surrounded by other landlocked countries. Being landlocked, having no direct access to an ocean, affects 44 countries worldwide. But two nations take this isolation to an extreme. Liechtenstein in Western Europe and Uzbekistan in Central Asia are the world's only doubly landlocked countries. Liechtenstein is surrounded entirely by Switzerland and Austria, both of which are themselves landlocked. Uzbekistan is surrounded by Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Tajikistan, and Kyrgyzstan, all landlocked. To reach an ocean from either nation, a traveler must cross through at least two other landlocked countries first. Fact 41: The deepest point on Earth could swallow Mount Everest. The Challenger Deep, located in the Mariana Trench in the western Pacific Ocean, reaches a depth of approximately 10,935 meters below sea level. If Mount Everest, standing 8,849 meters tall, were placed at the bottom of the Challenger Deep, its summit would still be more than 2,000 meters beneath the ocean surface. The pressure at this depth is over 1,000 times greater than at sea level. Despite this extreme environment, life has been found there. Microbial organisms and small crustaceans capable of surviving conditions that no surface species could endure. Fact 40: One lake holds 20% of Earth's unfrozen freshwater. Lake Baikal, located in Siberia, Russia, is the deepest lake on Earth, plunging to 1,642 meters. It also holds approximately 23,000 cubic kilometers of water, roughly 20% of the world's total unfrozen surface freshwater. This is more freshwater than all 5 of North America's Great Lakes combined. Baikal is also among the oldest lakes in the world, estimated to be between 25 and 30 million years old. Its antiquity has produced one of the most unique freshwater ecosystems on the planet, with more than 3,700 species found nowhere else on Earth. Fact 39: Hawaii is slowly sailing toward Japan. Hawaii rests on the Pacific tectonic plate, which is moving in a northwestward direction at a rate of approximately 4 inches, or about 10 centimeters, per year. This means Hawaii is consistently moving closer to Japan, and if the Pacific plate continues on its current trajectory without interruption, the Hawaiian Islands would reach the Japanese subduction zone in approximately 63 million years. The same movement that carries Hawaii toward Asia is also responsible for the chain of volcanic islands that make up the Hawaiian archipelago, each island the remnant of a volcano that passed over a fixed magmatic hotspot in the mantle below. Fact 38: The Sahara Desert was tropical grassland just 6,000 years ago. Approximately 6,000 to 11,000 years ago, during a period scientists call the African Humid Period or the Green Sahara, the region that is now the world's largest hot desert was covered in grassland, rivers, lakes, and woodland. Hippopotamuses swam in rivers that flowed through what is today the Central Sahara. Ancient rock art found in the Libyan and Algerian desert depicts elephants, giraffes, and cattle, creatures that could not survive there today. The transition from lush savanna to barren desert was driven by gradual shifts in Earth's orbital cycles, which altered the intensity of monsoon rains that had been sustaining the region. Fact 37: The lowest exposed land on Earth is in the middle of a modern country. The shores of the Dead Sea, located on the border of Israel and Jordan, sit at approximately 430 meters below sea level, the lowest exposed land surface on Earth. The Dead Sea is a hypersaline lake fed by the Jordan River, but with no outlet. Water can only escape through evaporation, which concentrates salt to levels roughly 10 times saltier than the ocean. This salinity makes the water dense enough to allow people to float effortlessly on its surface. However, the lake is shrinking at a rate of more than 1 meter per year, driven primarily by water diversion from the Jordan River. Fact 36: One river delivers 1/5 of all freshwater entering the world's oceans. The Amazon River carries more water than any other river on Earth. It discharges approximately 200,000 cubic meters of water into the Atlantic Ocean every second, a volume so immense that it is responsible for roughly 20% of all freshwater that enters the world's oceans from any source. The Amazon's outflow is so powerful that freshwater can be detected on the ocean's surface over 300 kilometers offshore, far enough out to sea that early explorers called it the freshwater sea. Its drainage basin covers approximately 7 million square kilometers, nearly double the area of the entire European Union. Fact 35: Greenland's ice sheet could raise sea levels by 7 meters. Greenland holds the world's second-largest ice sheet, after Antarctica. If it were to melt entirely, global sea levels would rise by approximately 7 to 7.4 meters, enough to submerge most of the world's coastal cities, including London, New York, Shanghai, and Mumbai. Currently, the Greenland ice sheet is losing mass at an accelerating rate, contributing roughly 1/5 of current global sea level rise. Each year, the ice sheet loses billions of tons of ice, primarily through surface melting and the calving of glaciers directly into the ocean. Fact 34: The most remote place on Earth is surrounded by thousands of miles of open water. Point Nemo, whose name is taken from the Latin word for no one, is the oceanic pole of inaccessibility, the single point on Earth farthest from any land in any direction. Located in the South Pacific Ocean at coordinates 48° 52.6 S, 123° 23.6 W, it sits approximately 2,688 kilometers from the nearest land, Ducie Island to the north, Motu Nui to the northeast, and the Antarctic coastline to the south. Point Nemo is so remote that, on many days, the closest humans to it are astronauts aboard the International Space Station passing overhead at an altitude of roughly 400 kilometers. Fact 33: The maps you grew up with were fundamentally distorted. The Mercator projection, developed in 1569 by Flemish cartographer Gerardus Mercator for naval navigation, preserves directional accuracy but dramatically distorts the size of landmasses at higher latitudes. On a standard Mercator world map, Greenland appears roughly the same size as Africa. In reality, Africa is approximately 14 times larger, covering 30.3 million square kilometers compared to Greenland's 2.2 million. This distortion has shaped centuries of geographic perception, making tropical and equatorial regions, which include most of the developing world, appear far smaller and therefore, to some extent, less significant than their true scale warrants. Fact 32: The continents are moving at the speed of your fingernail growth. Earth's tectonic plates are in constant, slow motion, driven by convection currents in the mantle below. The average rate of movement is between 2 and 7 centimeters per year, precisely the rate at which human fingernails grow. Over millions of years, this imperceptibly slow motion has assembled and disassembled supercontinents, opened and closed oceans, and raised mountain ranges kilometers into the sky. The Himalayas, for instance, are still rising today because the Indian plate continues to collide northward into the Eurasian plate at roughly 5 centimeters per year. Fact 31: The Danube flows through more countries than any other river. The Danube, Europe's second longest river, originates in the Black Forest Mountains of Germany and travels 2,850 kilometers southeast before emptying into the Black Sea. Along its journey, it passes through or borders 10 sovereign nations: Germany, Austria, Slovakia, Hungary, Croatia, Serbia, Romania, Bulgaria, Moldova, and Ukraine. No other river in the world flows through as many countries. The river's basin is shared by 19 nations in total, making it the most internationally shared river basin on Earth, supporting approximately 79 million people of diverse cultures, languages, and histories. Fact 30: The world's longest mountain range is mostly underwater. When people think of the world's longest mountain range, they often name the Andes, which stretches approximately 7,000 kilometers along South America's western coast. But the true record holder is the Mid-Ocean Ridge System, a continuous underwater mountain range that winds around the entire globe for approximately 65,000 kilometers. 90% of it lies beneath the ocean surface. This vast ridge system is where tectonic plates are pulled apart and new oceanic crust is continuously formed, making it one of the most geologically active regions on the planet. despite being almost entirely invisible to human eyes. Fact 29. The world's smallest country has fewer residents than a small town. Vatican City, an independent city-state located entirely within the city of Rome, covers a land area of approximately 0.49 square kilometers, less than the area of a typical urban park, and has a resident population of around 800 people, making it the world's smallest country both by area and by population. Despite its minuscule size, it functions as a fully sovereign state with its own government, bank, postal service, radio station, and newspaper. It is also the seat of the Roman Catholic Church, which means that this tiny enclave exercises cultural and spiritual influence over roughly 1.4 billion people worldwide. Fact 28. Monaco packs more people per square kilometer than anywhere else on Earth. Monaco, the second smallest sovereign state in the world at just over 2 square kilometers, is also the world's most densely populated country, with approximately 38,000 residents, giving it a population density of roughly 19,000 people per square kilometer. By comparison, the global average population density is about 60 people per square kilometer. Monaco has achieved this density partly through aggressive land reclamation from the Mediterranean Sea, expanding its coastline and creating new developable land. Despite its population intensity, Monaco maintains one of the highest standards of living in the world. Fact 27. Bolivia maintains 2 functioning capital cities. Most countries designate a single city as their capital. Bolivia maintains 2. Sucre is the constitutional capital of Bolivia, home to the Supreme Court and recognized as the official capital by the country's constitution since the nation's founding. La Paz, however, serves as the seat of the executive and legislative branches of government, functioning as the administrative capital. At an elevation of approximately 3,650 meters above sea level, La Paz is also the highest administrative capital in the world. This unusual arrangement is rooted in a 19th-century civil war that divided power between 2 regional factions, a compromise that was never fully resolved. Fact 26. Indonesia spans more time zones than most continents. Indonesia is an archipelago of over 17,000 islands, the world's largest island nation, stretching across approximately 5,120 kilometers from west to east. This vast east-west span crosses 3 separate time zones: Western Indonesia Time, Central Indonesia Time, and Eastern Indonesia Time. The country straddles the equator and sits at the juncture of the Pacific and Indian Oceans. Despite its geographic fragmentation, Indonesia is the world's 4th most populous country, with over 270 million people spread across islands that range in size from the immense Borneo, Sumatra, to the tiny and uninhabited. Fact 25. South America is far more to the east than most people believe. When looking at a world map, most people assume that South America is directly south of North America, with the 2 continents roughly aligned. In reality, South America sits dramatically to the east. Miami, Florida sits at approximately 80 degrees west longitude. The eastern tip of Brazil, the continent's easternmost point, reaches to approximately 35 degrees west longitude. This means that the eastern seaboard of South America is roughly as far east as the middle of the Atlantic Ocean relative to the eastern United States. This displacement surprises nearly everyone who encounters it for the first time on a globe. Fact 24. The world's largest continuous sand desert is not in Africa. The Sahara is the largest hot desert, but the largest continuous sand desert, known as an erg, is the Rub al-Khali, or Empty Quarter, located in the Arabian Peninsula. It covers approximately 650,000 square kilometers across Saudi Arabia, Oman, the UAE, and Yemen, making it larger than France. The sand dunes can reach heights of over 250 meters, among the tallest in the world. Despite its extreme aridity, the Rub al-Khali conceals enormous reserves of oil and natural gas beneath its sands, resources that have fundamentally altered the economies of the nations above it. Fact 23. The question of the world's longest river remains scientifically unresolved. The Nile River in Africa is conventionally listed as the world's longest, at approximately 6,650 kilometers. However, the Amazon River in South America, typically accepted as the world's largest by volume, is a genuine challenger to the title of longest. The difficulty lies in defining exactly where either river begins. Some scientific measurements, when tracing the Amazon to a distant Andean source, place its length at over 6,800 kilometers, potentially exceeding the Nile. The debate has not been formally resolved by any international geographic authority, and both rivers remain legitimate candidates for the TI. Fact 22. Nearly all of Earth's water is inaccessible to human use. Water covers approximately 71% of Earth's surface, a fact that gives the planet its defining blue appearance from space. Yet only 3% of that water is freshwater. Of that 3%, approximately 68% is locked within glaciers and polar ice caps, and a further 30% exists as groundwater too deep to readily access. Only about 0.3% of Earth's freshwater, a fraction of the total, exists in rivers, lakes, and accessible surface sources. The global freshwater crisis is not a crisis of quantity so much as one of distribution, access, and the increasing contamination of what little remains. Fact 21. The Mediterranean Sea will eventually cease to exist. The African tectonic plate is currently moving northward toward the Eurasian plate at a rate of roughly 2 to 3 centimeters per year. The Mediterranean Sea, the remnant of the ancient Tethys Ocean, sits between these converging plates. Over the next approximately 50 million years, most geologists agree that the African-Eurasian collision will gradually close the Mediterranean entirely, pushing up a mountain range comparable in scale to the Himalayas. This is not a prediction but an extrapolation of processes already underway. Earthquakes along the Mediterranean rim are the present-day expression of the same tectonic force that will, over geological time, seal this storied sea from existence. Fact 20. Siberian permafrost stores twice as much carbon as the entire atmosphere. Beneath the frozen ground of Siberia and the Arctic, a layer of permanently frozen soil known as permafrost, lies an estimated 1.5 trillion tons of carbon, accumulated from organic material that has been frozen in place for tens of thousands of years. This is approximately twice the amount of carbon currently present in Earth's entire atmosphere. As global temperatures rise, permafrost is thawing at an accelerating rate, releasing the stored carbon as carbon dioxide and methane. Because methane is over 80 times more potent as a greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide over a 20-year period, the thawing of Siberian permafrost represents one of the most significant feedback loops in contemporary climate science. Fact 19. New Zealand is the first inhabited place on Earth to greet each new day. Due to its position close to the international date line, New Zealand and its surrounding island territories are among the first inhabited places in the world to experience each new sunrise. The Chatham Islands, a New Zealand territory located approximately 800 kilometers east of the South Island, hold the specific distinction of being the first populated land to see the first sunrise of each new year. East Cape on New Zealand's North Island is the first point on the country's main islands to welcome each morning. This geographic peculiarity has given New Zealand a celebrated role in global New Year commemorations. Fact 18. Sweden has more islands than any other country on Earth. Sweden is estimated to contain approximately 267,000 islands, more than any other country in the world. Norway follows with around 239,000, and Finland with approximately 188,000. This extraordinary archipelagic complexity is a legacy of glaciation. As ice sheets retreated at the end of the last ice age, they carved thousands of rock outcroppings above the waterline across Scandinavia. Together, Sweden, Norway, and Finland are estimated to contain over 685,000 islands between them, more than half of all identified islands on the planet, giving the Scandinavian peninsula one of the most intricate maritime geographies in existence. Fact 17. The Caspian Sea is the world's largest lake, and technically not a sea. The Caspian Sea, bordered by Russia, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Iran, and Azerbaijan, covers approximately 371,000 square kilometers, making it the largest enclosed inland body of water on Earth. Despite its name and its saltwater composition, it is geologically a lake, isolated from the world's oceans. It is so large that it borders 5 countries and reaches depths of over 1,025 meters. The Caspian is a remnant of the ancient Paratethys Sea, an enormous body of water that covered much of central Eurasia millions of years ago. Today, it also holds the world's last population of beluga sturgeon, the source of the world's most expensive cavia. Fact 16. Mauna Kea is the world's tallest mountain, measured from its base. Mount Everest is the highest mountain above sea level, but the tallest mountain on Earth, measured from its base to its summit, is Mauna Kea, a dormant volcano on the Big Island of Hawaii. Its summit reaches only 4,205 meters above sea level, but the mountain's base rests on the ocean floor at a depth of approximately 6,000 meters below sea level. Total height from base to summit: over 10,200 meters, surpassing Everest's 8,849 meters above sea level. This distinction highlights the difference between elevation and height, a seemingly simple difference that reveals how much of Earth's most dramatic topography is hidden beneath the ocean. Fact 15. The longest mountain range on land is the Andes, and it hosts the world's highest volcanoes. The Andes mountain range stretches approximately 7,000 kilometers along the entire western coast of South America, making it the longest continental mountain range on Earth. It passes through 7 countries: Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, Chile, and Argentina, and is home to the world's highest active volcanoes. Ojos del Salado, on the Chile-Argentina border, stands at 6,893 meters and is the highest volcano on Earth. The Andes are geologically young and still rising, formed by the ongoing subduction of the Nazca tectonic plate beneath the South American plate. Fact 14. The Great Barrier Reef is the largest living structure ever built on Earth. The Great Barrier Reef, located off the northeastern coast of Australia, stretches over 2,300 kilometers and covers approximately 344,400 square kilometers, an area larger than Italy. It is the largest structure on Earth ever built by living organisms, constructed over millions of years by billions of tiny coral polyps. The reef supports an estimated 25% of all marine species in the ocean, a biodiversity density comparable to that of tropical rainforests. It is the only living structure on Earth visible from space, though it faces severe existential pressure from rising ocean temperatures, with significant bleaching events documented in recent decades. Fact 13. Iceland is literally being torn apart along a tectonic boundary. Iceland sits directly on the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, the boundary between the Eurasian and North American tectonic plates. These plates are slowly moving apart from each other, and Iceland is physically splitting along this boundary at a rate of approximately 2.5 centimeters per year. The Thingvellir Rift Valley in southwestern Iceland is the surface expression of this divergence, a growing gash in the landscape where visitors can literally walk between 2 continents. Iceland's extraordinary volcanic activity, including its numerous geysers, hot springs, and active volcanoes, is a direct consequence of this position at the center of a spreading tectonic boundary. Fact 12. Africa could fit the United States, China, India, and Europe inside it. Africa covers approximately 30.3 million square kilometers, making it the second largest continent after Asia. Yet on standard Mercator projection maps, it appears roughly comparable in size to Europe, Greenland, or North America. In reality, Africa is large enough to contain the contiguous United States, 9.5 million square kilometers, China, 9.6 million square kilometers, India, 3.3 million square kilometers, and the entirety of Europe, 10.5 million square kilometers, simultaneously, with land to spare. Fact 11. The Amazon rainforest produces roughly 20% of Earth's oxygen. The Amazon basin spans approximately 7 million square kilometers across 9 South American countries. Its rainforest contains the highest density of plant species on land anywhere on Earth, and through photosynthesis, the Amazon produces approximately 20% of the oxygen in Earth's atmosphere annually, earning it the informal title of the lungs of the Earth. The forest also plays a critical role in the global water cycle, generating moisture through transpiration that drives rainfall patterns across South America and potentially beyond. Current deforestation rates, driven by agriculture and logging, are removing this capacity at a scale scientists regard as a global emergency. Fact 10. Mount Everest grows several millimeters taller every year. The Himalayas are not a static range. The ongoing collision between the Indian and Eurasian tectonic plates continues to push the Himalayas upward at an estimated rate of approximately 5 millimeters per year. Mount Everest itself grows approximately 5 millimeters taller annually, though erosion and the compaction of rock partially offset this gain. The same collision that is building the Himalayas also produces the earthquakes that periodically devastate Nepal and surrounding regions. The 2015 Nepal earthquake, which killed nearly 9,000 people, was a direct expression of this ongoing geological compression. Fact 9. China shares its border with more countries than any other nation. China shares land borders with 14 countries: Russia, Mongolia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar, Laos, Vietnam, and North Korea. No other country on Earth borders as many sovereign nations. This extraordinary position means that China's foreign policy, trade networks, and security considerations must simultaneously account for relationships with the enormous diversity of Central Asian, South Asian, Southeast Asian, and East Asian states. An inherent geopolitical complexity shaped entirely by its geographic placement at the crossroads of the Asian continent. Fact 8. Earth's magnetic poles have reversed hundreds of times in geological history. Earth's magnetic field is generated by the movement of molten iron in the planet's outer core. Throughout geological history, this field has periodically reversed polarity. What is currently magnetic north has at various points been magnetic south. Scientists have documented hundreds of such reversals in the geological record, with the last full reversal occurring approximately 780,000 years ago. Reversals do not happen instantaneously. They unfold over thousands of years. During a reversal, the magnetic field weakens significantly, potentially exposing the planet's surface to increased solar radiation. There is current scientific discussion about whether a reversal may be underway, given recent observations of the magnetic pole's accelerating movement. Fact 7. The world's oceans have been explored less than outer space. Approximately 95% of Earth's oceans remain unexplored by direct human observation. The ocean floor covers roughly 362 million square kilometers, yet high-resolution mapping exists for only a fraction of that area. By comparison, the surfaces of the Moon and Mars have been mapped in far greater detail than the floor of Earth's own oceans. The deep ocean is one of the least understood environments on the planet, yet it plays decisive roles in regulating global temperature, ocean chemistry, and the carbon cycle, and almost certainly harbors species unknown to science. Fact 6. The Nile River has sustained continuous human civilization for over 5,000 years. The Nile River, flowing approximately 6,650 kilometers from its sources in the East African highlands to the Mediterranean Sea, has functioned as the geographic spine of one of humanity's longest-enduring civilizations. Ancient Egypt's entire agricultural and economic existence depended on the Nile's annual flood cycle, which deposited nutrient-rich silt along its banks and made farming possible in an otherwise desert landscape. The river today supports approximately 300 million people across 11 countries that share its basin, and water allocation disputes among those nations represent one of the most consequential and unresolved geopolitical tensions in Africa. Fact 5. The Dead Sea is rapidly disappearing. The Dead Sea, already the lowest exposed land surface on Earth at 430 meters below sea level, is shrinking at a striking rate. Its water level drops by more than 1 meter per year, driven by the diversion of water from the Jordan River, historically its primary source, for agriculture and municipal use in Israel, Jordan, and the Palestinian territories. In the last century, the Dead Sea has lost approximately 1/3 of its surface area. Sinkholes are forming along its former shoreline as the retreat of water allows underground salt layers to dissolve, creating sudden ground collapse. Without intervention, scientists estimate the sea could disappear within centuries. Fact 4. South America's Atacama Desert is so dry that some parts have never recorded rain. The Atacama Desert, located primarily in northern Chile, is the driest non-polar desert on Earth. Certain meteorological stations in the Atacama's core have never recorded rainfall in the history of their operation, and geological evidence suggests that some regions of the central Atacama may have experienced zero significant precipitation for periods stretching into millions of years. The desert is caught in a rain shadow between the Andes to the east and a cold Pacific Ocean current to the west, both of which strip moisture from any air approaching the plateau. Despite this, NASA uses the Atacama as an analog environment for Mars, and it is home to extremophile microbes found in no other ecosystem on Earth. Fact 3. The Great Wall of China is not visible from space with the naked eye. It is one of the most persistently repeated geographic myths. The Great Wall of China is the only man-made structure visible from space. It is not true. The Great Wall averages approximately 4 to 5 meters wide, narrower than a highway, and is largely the same color as the terrain surrounding it. Multiple astronauts, including Chinese astronaut Yang Liwei during China's first crewed spaceflight in 2003, have confirmed that the wall cannot be distinguished with the naked eye from orbit. What can be seen from space are cities, irrigation systems, large reservoirs, and greenhouse complexes. Fact 2. Earth's rotation is gradually slowing down. Earth's rotational speed is decelerating due primarily to the gravitational-tidal interaction with the Moon. The Moon's gravity creates a slight drag on Earth's oceans, gradually transferring rotational energy from the Earth to the Moon's orbit. The effect is small, approximately 1.4 milliseconds per century, but it accumulates over geological time. Approximately 1.4 billion years ago, an Earth day lasted only about 18 hours. Fossil coral records from ancient seas show daily and annual growth rings that confirm faster rotations in Earth's distant past. At the current rate, days on Earth will continue to lengthen, though imperceptibly in any human lifetime. Fact 1. The world will have an entirely different map in 250 million years. Based on the current movement of tectonic plates, geologists have modeled what Earth's continents may look like far into the future. The leading prediction, known as Pangaea Proxima or Pangaea Ultima, suggests that approximately 250 million years from now, the world's continents will once again converge into a single supercontinent, broadly resembling the Pangaea that fragmented over 175 million years ago. The Atlantic Ocean will close. Africa will fully collide with Europe. Australia will merge into Asia. The Mediterranean will be gone, replaced by a mountain range. The planet's geography, every border, every ocean, every continent is temporary. What we call the world today is a single frame in an ongoing geological film. Common misconceptions and what connects these facts. Several themes emerge from these 50 facts that challenge the most basic assumptions people carry about the physical world. The most persistent misconception is that human geography, borders, country names, the maps on classroom walls, represents something permanent. It does not. Tectonic forces will eliminate seas, assemble new continents, and erase coastlines that nations have claimed as sovereign territory for millennia. The very act of drawing a border on a map is a temporary human assertion imposed upon a planet in constant motion. A second misconception concerns scale. The Mercator projection, still the dominant world map format, has shaped generations of geographic intuition in ways that systematically distort the true proportions of continents. Africa appears small when it is vast. Greenland appears large when it is modest. South America appears directly south of North America when it is in fact dramatically to the east. Our intuitions about the world were built on a map designed for sailors, not for geographic understanding. A third thread connects the facts about water. The world is overwhelmingly composed of it, yet the fraction accessible to human life is vanishingly small and actively shrinking. The Dead Sea disappears. The Jordan River is diverted. Glaciers recede. The permafrost that holds ancient carbon is thawing. These are not separate crises. They are expressions of a single interconnected planetary system under increasing stress. Finally, the ocean facts, Point Nemo, the mid-ocean ridge, the Mariana Trench, the unexplored 95% of the seafloor, reveal that the dominant environment on Earth is one humanity has barely examined. The deep ocean is not empty. It is a living system, largely unknown, that regulates the chemistry and temperature of the entire planet's surface. What these 50 facts collectively reveal is not a collection of curiosities. They reveal a planet that operates according to scales of time, space, and complexity that dwarf any human conception of the world. A sea that will disappear in 50 million years. A mountain that grows 5 millimeters each year and has been doing so for 50 million. A lake carved open by forces that began 25 million years ago. A desert that was green within human memory, within living civilizations, and is now the harshest terrain on Earth. The geography we inherit is not the geography that always was, nor the geography that will always be. The world's continents have assembled and shattered and reassembled multiple times before this moment, and they will do so again long after any civilization capable of drawing maps has ceased to exist. Perhaps the most important truth embedded in these facts is one about humility. Every border on every map, every city built on a coastline, every nation defined by the rivers and mountains within its territory, all of it rests upon a surface that is temporary, moving, transforming. We live on an active planet, not a fixed stage. The ground beneath our cities will one day be the floor of an ocean. The ocean floor we cannot see will one day be a mountain range under a sky we cannot imagine. To understand geography is not merely to know where things are. It is to understand that everything is always on its way somewhere else. And those were 50 incredible facts about our planet. But I'm curious, which one surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoy videos like this and want to discover more fascinating facts about our world, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching.